Hello, it's nice to see you again, or if you're new here, then it's nice to meet you. My name is Liz, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite albums in 2017. Also, just a quick little disclaimer before we get started. I'm sorry about any noises in the background. My parrot's has been very needy today, so she's fighting for attention. So I'm going to start by saying this first album didn't technically come out this year, but I listened to it a ton this year. It's like a huge motif in my life this year, and that's Double Dare from Waterparks. It came out in November of 2016, but I blasted this album all year long, and it's become like sort of an anthem for me. It's definitely probably one of my favorite albums like ever right now. And my favorite track off of it was really hard to pick one because I love all of the tracks on it for different reasons, but if I had to pick one, I decided that my favorite was going to be Dizzy. I really like the way it's written lyrically, and it's kind of impossible to not like have fun listening to. Overall, I love the album and just stylistically how Waterparks does happy music with sad lyrics. It makes it fun to dance to, but also really relatable if you take the time to listen. My second favorite album this year was OK from As It Is. This came out early this year. My favorite track off of it is Pretty Little Distance, which is the first track off of the album. I actually have a lyric from it ready to get tattooed called Brace the Barricade in my mind. Haven't gotten it done yet, but it is ready to go. As It Is, I've loved seeing perform this year, and it's been really great to kind of discover my love for this album and discover love for new tracks each time I listen to it. Austin is a close second, but if I did have to pick one favorite, it would definitely be Pretty Little Distance. My third favorite album this year is Overexposed from Sleep On It. Overexposed is their debut album. It came out in November, so very recent. I haven't been able to stop listening to it since it came out. I actually picked up both pressings of the vinyl, which I've got sitting right here. My favorite track off of the album, again, it was really hard to pick just one, but if I did have to pick one, it would be Photo Booth. I really love the way it's written, and it makes me feel things when I hear it. I can like picture a music video for it in my head as we speak. My next favorite album this year was Adornment from Grayscale. This album came out in May. It came out, I think, either a few days before or a few days after I saw them open for As It Is. I can't remember the exact day. But that is an album I listened to a ton this year. My favorite track off of the album is Atlantic. It was something I was really relating to a lot a few months ago, and it's a bop. I really love that song. There's lots of other great tracks off that album, but that's definitely my number one. My next favorite album this year was Harry Styles' self-titled album. It was his first album released as a solo artist. It wasn't quite what I was expecting from him, but I really, really loved it. I loved his breakaway from the One Direction sound. I loved the One Direction sound as well, of course, but I really loved what he did. You can tell he's really enjoying it. My favorite track off of his self-titled album is Sweet Creature. I love how simple it is, and I really love listening to his voice without a bunch of orchestration around it, because he does have a really great voice. And it's fun to sing along to. My next favorite album this year was Feel Something by Movements. Movements has been getting a lot of hype in this scene, and it kind of took me a minute to really get into them. I actually just listened to this album for the first time a couple weeks ago, even though it did come out in October. I'd kind of been procrastinating and had forgotten to give it a listen, but I really liked it. My favorite track off of the album is definitely Full Circle. I like how he kind of throws a little bit of like, not really rap, but talking sort of rap into it. It kind of gave me 21 Pilots vibes, but better. I really, really liked that album, and from what I've heard so far, I'll definitely be listening to it more. The next album off of this list, again, like Double Dare, didn't technically come out this year, but I discovered it this year and listened to it a lot towards the beginning of this year, and that's Haven't Been Myself from Too Close to Touch. I started listening to them before I saw them with the Waterparks, so I could kind of get into them a little bit, and I just kept listening. My favorite song off this album is, what did I write? What I Wish I Could Forget. It just always gets me dancing and having a good time. I also really like, I'm not 100% sure how to say it, Ellie or Eiley. It's the last song off the album. And I just really love the emotion that their lead singer Keaton puts into it. You can tell that he feels something, and it makes me feel something, and it gets me emotional listening to it, and I like that in a song. My next favorite album on this list is technically an EP, but it's We Are The Rex by The Rex. I started listening to The Rex when they opened for All Time Low on the last Young Renegade tour this summer. There's only 3 songs on the EP. It's also, they only have 3 songs on Spotify. They do have other songs that exist, just not out to the public. They're all good. Favorite Liar is definitely my favorite though. It's really fun to dance to, and there's a line about Colorado in there, so I'm a little bit biased, I guess. My last favorite album of this year was Paradise from Broadside. This album came out over the summer, but I actually didn't give it a listen until about a month and a half ago, and I definitely regretted not listening to it sooner. My favorite track off of this album is Laps Around a Picture Frame. I love the feel that it has to it. And the beat, I guess. I do have some honorable mentions for favorite albums this year. They're albums that I liked, but I didn't feel like I could put them as a favorite album because I didn't have enough time to really like listen to them more than a couple times, but they're still albums that I did enjoy. I loved Lovely Little Lonely from the Maine. I really loved American Candy from the Maine. I didn't get to listen to this album as much. There's still time, obviously, but I did listen to it a couple times and I really loved the Maine. The next honorable mention is Flicker from Niall Horan. I felt my old One Direction stan self felt obligated to listen to it, but I'm glad that I did. I really enjoyed what he's done with his sound. And yeah, again, I've only listened to it a couple times, but I really did love what I heard. The next honorable mention is Divide from Ed Sheeran. Everybody loves Ed Sheeran, but listening to him just gives me like, you know, rolling down the street with the windows down kind of vibes. The next honorable mention for favorite albums of 2017 is Chase Atlantic, self-titled. I believe it's their first album. A friend showed this to me. It's not my typical style of music that I like to listen to, but I was actually pleasantly surprised at how much I did like it. And if you haven't heard it, go ahead and give it a listen. And the last honorable mention on this favorite albums list is State Champs, Around the World and Back. This has been a huge album in the scene. I haven't personally had a chance to listen to it a ton. I've heard the album a good handful of times and I really did like what I heard. You can't go wrong with State Champs. So yeah, these were my favorite albums of 2017. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, let me know. If you didn't like what you saw, let me know. All the typical things like, oh, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, press the bell. If you want to see more of what I do, you can check out my other videos, and there's also a link to my website down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.